Maha salute Broncos country. What's going on? It's your boy Mark here, Marky Sports. Hope you guys having a great Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. Guys, real quick, it looks like a lot of people in Broncos country are concerned about Troy Franklin. We moved up to get this guy in the draft. We had high expectations, and it's been a really, really bad camp. So is there a way that his roster status on this team is in jeopardy? Well, we'll get right down to it, guys. If you haven't already, before we do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos, and definitely hit that like if you like some of the content that you see. I love interacting with you all in the comments, so don't forget to do that too. So let's get into it, guys. The Broncos had moved up in the 4th round to get Troy Franklin. Many people nationally and locally were saying it was probably the steal of the draft, considering that he was somebody that was projected to go in the 1st or the 2nd round as one of the top receivers, really explosive guy in Oregon, and he kind of fell into our laps. I personally, and you can look at some of the videos prior, I wasn't overly impressed by Troy Franklin. I thought that his game in college and what he was known to do didn't really translate all that well to the NFL, but I was intrigued by the kind of element that he could potentially bring to this team. But it's been a really bad camp. He's struggled with drops. He's struggled with creating some separation. And in my opinion, it just seems like it's a confidence issue right now. I remember that video that he had released on the day of the draft when he finally got drafted, and he was saying, oh, you guys are about to find out about me. Kind of had a chip on his shoulder. And I don't know if maybe he's putting a lot of pressure on himself or, what exactly is going on. But by all accounts, it really just seems like he probably needs a year or so to develop, and he might not necessarily be ready this year. Now, the talk about him not making the team, I think, is crazy. I just cannot fathom a situation where that would be the case. And so that is something that I don't see happening. I think he's definitely making this team, but he's going to be one of those players that is going to be inactive for a big majority of it. His lack of special teams ability and playing special teams, whether in the return game or as kick coverage, is also going to hurt him. I'm kind of surprised we didn't look at him maybe as a second return man next to Mims in this new kickoff rule. But either way, it's definitely cause for concern. And one thing that I had started doing a little bit of digging on, there's actually a really, really interesting article, a couple articles that came up that really discussed hand size of wide receivers and how it correlates to their success in the league. And they took data from like 10 years. I'll link it down in the description. A special shout out to Brainy Ballers for this really cool study. But it talked about how there's a certain range that wide receivers are in from a hand size perspective that is considered to be really, really good. And the way that it's broken down, let me go look into it, is that, receivers that have a hand size between 8 3/4 and 9 1/4 tend to struggle a lot more than those that are, between 9 1/4 up to 10. And it's pretty eye-opening to see the names and the correlation. Even some guys that were really projected to do well in the NFL did it. Now, is it directly going to go into the size of their hands? Is a half an inch really going to make that big of a difference? That's what she said. But it's something that I think is worth noting. And the way that it correlates to Troy Franklin is Troy Franklin had one of the smallest hands in the draft this year at 8 3/4. In fact, he was tied for the smallest. And there's not really many current receivers in the NFL with hands that small. Obviously, it's an extremely important metric. I always looked at it with quarterbacks in the draft. But obviously, with receivers using their hands to catch it, I think it's pretty important. So I don't know if it directly has any correlation, but he struggled with drops a lot in college, and it seems like he's struggling with it even more so right now in the NFL. On a positive front, today was the day the Broncos had a joint practice with the Packers. By all accounts, it looks like they balled out. Another video about that coming later today. It looks like they played really, really well. They kind of won the day, quote unquote, but there was a lot of very encouraging signs. And I'm just happy that they went out there and competed. They went out there and looked like they belonged to be on the field with the Packers. In fact, they looked like they were really dominating the Packers in a lot of different areas. And I love that. You love to see that with a young team that's hungry, that, they're going to have a former playoff team who was actually a really good team last year in the Packers come in here and we whoop up on them. So I love that. But Troy Franklin made some plays. He had some bad drops, but by all accounts, looking at some of the Twitter feeds and some of the updates, he looked like he was starting to create some separation on some routes, had some catches across the middle, had some contested catches, had a catch over Damari Mathis in the corner of the end zone. Granted that it was a bobble, but good concentration by him to be able to come down with it. So that's encouraging. I think I'm not going to make any kind of big judgments. I wasn't expecting too much from Troy Franklin this year anyways. But if you ask me, I think that it's a confidence issue, and I would love to see them really involve him. Not necessarily in this game against the Packers. I mean, I think that they will, but certainly in that third preseason game, just to make him feel confident in his skill set and confident that he belongs in this league. Because you can put on a front, but if your play is showing one thing, I'm gonna tend to side that way. Let me know what y'all think. Are you guys worried about Troy Franklin? I haven't gotten there yet, but it's definitely something that's concerning. So put it down in the comments. Let's see what you guys think. Until then, guys, peace out. Spend time with those people that you love, and mile high salute. We'll talk to y'all later.